Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again, and this time I once again wish to talk about emotions. And there was this beautiful quote that I had come across yesterday which I thought was absolutely beautiful. And it went something like this: in the culture that tells us to have a brave face, probably the bravest thing would be to have a face off. Probably the most beautiful thing would be to let the mask fall off. And I thought that was truly beautiful. So, when we are living in this culture that constantly bombards us with messages or constantly reinforces that just be positive, just be happy, just be joyful, it is also invariably somewhere trying to tell us that do not embrace your whole self. And when it's trying to do that, it's also in the same breath saying that live a straight jacketed life. And unfortunately, it misses out the point that life is not straight jacketed. We are not straight jacketed creatures. We are beautiful, messy, and complex creatures, and so is life. And the beauty of life is in its simplistic complexities. The beauty of us, the interesting part of us, lies in our complexities. Because life is an expression of itself through us. Because life is an expression that we embody, that we live, that we get to address on an everyday basis. And if we are not willing to see some of those emotions, we might just be missing out on the most tangible values that are very important to our core self, that are very essential for our own selves, and we just might be missing out our own values towards our own selves. And if we can miss out that about us, we cannot not miss it about somebody else. So let's try and make these intangible emotions more tangible for our better understanding. So how about taking some of these so-called negative emotions and trying to understand what the real value, what the bigger narrative just might be to help us connect with our own selves a little better. How about taking, for example, frustration and boredom? Now, these have been categorized as negative emotions. But how about flipping on the other side and just trying to understand what that value might be for us as an individual and even as a collective whole? How about just trying to understand that when somebody says that I am feeling frustrated or I'm feeling bored, that person just might be missing out on learning. That person just might not be curious enough about life, about their own selves. And maybe when they talk of frustration, they might also be trying to convey that I am not getting the support enough from my environment that I need for my own growth and learning. And maybe I feel suffocated in my own self because life is not growing through me, with me, as me. So maybe the core value for that person just might be that they value curiosity, that they value awe of life, of themselves, that they value learning, that they value growth more than the smaller aspect which is deemed as negative. So maybe the bigger picture, the bigger narrative just might be that that person enjoys learning and growth, that that person enjoys getting support, that that person enjoys being connected not only with people but to themselves as well. So the bigger narrative, the bigger picture for that person just might be that I value growth. I value learning. I value being curious. I value being open. I value being able to enhance my own perspective. I value connection. I value support more than any other thing, more than the smaller narrative of the negativity that is attached to this particular emotion. So, what if we can try to understand the underlying messages that all of our emotions are trying to convey to us? That none is bad and none is essentially good. That even anger somewhere helped us gain our independence, because had some of our leaders not been really angry, to be subjected being under the British rule, to be repressed, to be able to say that life is meant to be free and that we demand freedom for ourselves. Because life cannot be repressed, it's not meant to be repressed. It's not meant to be subjugated. We probably would not have found our own independence as well. So even the anger has a value attached to it. And maybe at a certain point in time, it was the anger that was holy, that helped us gain our own independence. Because the bigger picture, the bigger narrative of anger just might be that I value justice, that I value equanimity, that I value fairness more than my anger. So how about trying to truly address all of our emotions, energy in motion that not only flows within this system but also helps us connect outside of the system, the energy that helps us connect with our own selves, that helps us understand our own core values so that we value our own selves, essentially life a little more, a little better. How about trying to truly understand the bigger narrative that our emotions might be trying to tell us, but we have always pushed them aside. And when we have pushed aside all of those emotions that we shame, that we discard, we have even discarded a part of ourselves. And if we can discard a part of ourselves, how can we embrace that about somebody else? How can we embrace that about life that is our own selves? Let's try and think about that. Let's try and work towards that. Let's try and value our own selves a little more by trying to find our own values, even through the emotions that we try and resist, even through the emotions that we find challenging, even through the emotions that we deem as the negative emotions. We probably will be able to embrace life and even our own selves a little better. Let's try and do that, and I will see you once again next week. Till then, stay tuned in.